Hey, what's up guys, it's AndreOth here, bringing you guys another video. And in this video I'm going to be showing you guys how I made a Digga D UK drill type beat. Let's get into it. So yeah guys, here's a quick preview of the beat that we're going to be making today. So yeah guys, that is the beat, and the way we started off this beat was with a piano. So I found the BRYSON Grand Piano, which is a Logic stock preset. It's a piano that I use on a few of my other drill beats. I just think it sounds good, and I think it sounds obviously perfect for drill beats. So I think with this melody, I was just messing around with like a MIDI file. It sounded okay, but I didn't love it, so I kind of just scrapped it and just came up with my own little chord progression that was kind of inspired by the MIDI file. So I came up with this chord progression and this little melody to go with it. So I came up with this simple little drill kind of sounding chord progression that I liked. It sounded good, I liked how it sounded, but you know we have to make it a little bit more dark. I try not to use halftime, but I can't help it. Anytime I halftime a melody or a chord progression, it always just sounds good. It always just sounds more drill. It just has that dark kind of texture to it. So yeah, I had to add halftime to the melody just to give it that dark drill kind of feel. And I also added rhythmizer. I found like a preset that reverses the melody, so it kind of just subtly reverses the melody, doesn't completely reverse it, but it just adds a whole new dynamic and it's a different layer to the melody, and it makes it sound obviously more haunting, which is perfect for any drill kind of beat. So I was really happy with how the melody was sounding in the end, and it ended up sounding like this. Alright guys, for the counter melody, I could have just made a melody with a piano, but I wanted to do something a little bit different. I didn't want to just use the sounds that they had in Logic. I actually have Arcade. I have Arcade from Output, so I know you guys have seen those adverts, especially the hooked adverts and stuff like that. So I actually have that, and I decided to make a counter melody with Arcade. So I went into Arcade. The line that I got the kit from was called Taped, and the kit was called the Polygons kit. So I just found this little sample they had in there. I put the project into the same scale and key that the beat was made in. I think it was like an E minor or something like that. So yeah, I was just messing around with the different samples in that kit, and I found a sample that went really well with the main melody. I just played the sample just dry, just the way it sounded in the kit, but then the other part of the sample I kind of added like a little glitch and stuff like that. And if you use Arcade, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I found something that really worked with the main melody. I found something that worked with the piano chord progression, and it just fit really well into the beat. It wasn't doing too much, but it did add to the beat. So yeah, I ended up sticking with it. I liked how it sounded. I added some spread to it as well, just to spread out the sound, just so it kind of had its own space in the mix, and just so it sounds a little bit more interesting to listen to. But yeah, I was happy with how it sounded in the end, and it ended up sounding like this. And everything together should sound like this. So yeah guys, then after that we then moved on to the drums, and normally I always start my drums off with some snares. So yeah, and these snares, I use them in a lot of my drill beats, damn near almost all of them, because it just works, you know, it just sounds perfect. It gives the drums that bounce and that sound that I really like, so I kind of use it in a lot of drill beats. But I'm definitely going to try and use a different snare in the future. But it's like a standard drill snare. I think I got it from like a UK drill kit. If you heard the snare, you would have probably heard it in a drill song before. But yeah, it's just a standard drill kind of snare. I came up with a very simple drill snare pattern. It obviously has that kind of swing to it, which is very important when you're doing a drill beat. And if you want to do a drill beat, you should probably use a similar snare pattern. And yeah, the pattern ended up sounding like this. And when you hear that played with everything else, everything should sound like this. So then after that, I then moved on to the kicks. And with the kicks, like I always say, the kicks need to be punchy, they need to be hitting. I found this kick from a Ghosty drill pack, and then I actually EQ'd it a little bit more just to raise some frequencies that I thought would make the kick sound a little bit better. And I think I added some overdrive to the kick as well, just to make it more punchy. But yeah, having a really hard hitting kick is very important with a drill beat, and I actually found a way just to make the kicks and the 808s hit harder. But that's for another video. Anyways, I found the kicks, and I wanted to do the kicks after the snares. I normally do the hi-hats after the snares, but I wanted to do the kicks after the snares because I want to do the hi-hats last, and I'm going to explain why in the next part of the video. But yeah, I wanted to do the kicks after the snares because I want the kicks to complement the snares first, because I feel like that helps me just to add that bounce to the drill beat. I always kind of do the kicks after the snares because I want the kicks to play off the snares. And I feel like the kicks and the snares give the basis of your drums. That's the foundation of your drums. That's the foundation of your bounce. And then the hi-hats or any other perks you want to add to the drums is kind of secondary. You kind of weave those in between the kicks and the snares, and you make them bounce off, and make them bounce off the kicks and the snares as well. So yeah, that's my mindset whenever I'm doing kicks in a drum beat. And I have two different kick patterns. I have one kick pattern for one 4-bar, and I have another kick pattern for another 4-bar, just because I want to make the kicks a bit more interesting and have more bounce and more variation to it, instead of having like a standard kick pattern that you tend to have in a lot of kind of trap beats and stuff like that. So I was happy with how the kick pattern sounded. I thought it played really well and bounced really well off the snares, and I was liking how it sounded, and it ended up sounding like this. Then when you hear everything all play together, the whole beat should sound like this. So then after I was finished with the kicks, I then moved on to the hi-hats. And the hi-hats is another thing that I've kind of taken a different approach to, especially after doing more drill beats. So yeah, with the hi-hats, like I said, I do them last. I do them after the kicks and the snares because I want the hi-hats to bounce off of the kicks and bounce off of the snares. So whenever I do like a hi-hat roll or some glitchy kind of effect, I kind of do it strategically to kind of play off the kicks, or sometimes with the snares as well, and that really adds to the bounce of a drill beat. That has to be your mindset whenever you're doing the drums and drill beats. You want everything to play off each other. You don't want there to be any standard patterns just playing throughout the beat. You want everything to be intentional. So that's the approach that I took with the hi-hats. So I added some rolls in there, some glitches and stuff like that, just to bounce off the kicks. And you'll see what I mean when I play the hi-hats. And I also mess around with the velocity, and that is so key when you're doing a drum beat. It's the velocity, and having some hi-hats that's like 50 velocity. Well, I don't really do 50. I have some hi-hats at like 25 velocity that kind of play right before a hi-hat that has 100 velocity, and that adds to the swing. It adds to that bounce. If you listen to any ghosty kind of beat or gotcha or anything like that, they're always really strategical with their hi-hats, and that's such a big key when you're doing a drum beat. So mess around with the velocity of the hi-hats, and make sure the hi-hat rolls are put in intentionally and they bounce off a kick, you know. So maybe you have like a roll, hi-hat roll after a kick hits or something like that. And sometimes I'll kind of take out the hi-hats when the kicks are hitting, just because it adds to that bounce. And when you listen to the hi-hats play with the rest of the kicks and the rest of the beat, I want you guys to pay attention to how I did the hi-hats and how they play off the kicks and the snares and stuff like that. So that's the approach that I took with hi-hats. And when you see the hi-hats played with the rest of the beat, with the rest of the kicks and the snares and stuff especially, you'll see what I mean by being intentional with the hi-hat rolls and the velocity, adding that kind of drill kind of swing and bounce to your beat. But yeah, enough talking about the damn hi-hats. This is what the hi-hats sounded like when I was finished. And then when you hit that play with everything else, the whole beat should come together like this. So then after this, I moved on to the last part of the beat, which was the bass, the 808s. And like I always say, I use this bass from Wonder Girl's Splice Pack. It's this bass that's just really long and hard hitting, and it's very distorted, and it just sounds perfectly with these kicks that I have, and also sounds perfectly in just drill beats in general. So yeah, my approach with doing 808s in a drill beat is, first of all, when I have it in sampler, I have certain settings. So I make sure it's in legato mode. I make sure the glide is up to like 60 to 90. I kind of have the range at about 10. And I put the settings on the screen now so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Sometimes I play with the attack as well of the bass, because if you notice with drill beats, the 808s normally has a lot of attack, because they don't really hit like that. They kind of have like more of a dipped kind of sound when they hit, and that's another thing that you guys can apply to your drill beats as well whenever you're doing 808s. But like I said with 808s before, the approach that I take with 808s is that they also add bounce to the beat. So you've got to be really particular and intentional with how you put your 808s. I like to have a lot of my 808s hitting with the kicks, but sometimes I can have like an 808 kind of just to hit on its own, just to kind of add a bit more bounce to the beat, you know. So sometimes I have an 808 hit without any kicks, and then I have the kicks hit right after, or have the kicks hit and then the next kick, the 808 hits, and that kind of thing adds to the bounce of the beat. And those are some of the techniques that I kind of try to apply with this beat. But yeah, I was really happy with how the 808s was sounding. I created a very simple 808 bass line, and yeah, the way I do the bass line with my drill beats is that I just come up with a simple bass line, just a couple of notes every 4 bars, just to kind of play the bass notes of the melody, and then I add to it, I add some different notes in there, and I add some glides and stuff like that to make it sound a bit more interesting. But yeah, I was really happy with how the 808s was sounding in the end, and it ended up sounding like this. And if you hit that with the melody, the beat should sound like this. So I guess that was pretty much it for the beat. That was every single component that made up the beat, and that was the whole process that went into making the beat. The only thing I had to do after that was structure the beat and mix the beat, and that's exactly what I did. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did like the video though, please hit the like button down below and subscribe for more, because I have way more videos like this coming out every single week. If you guys want to purchase any beats from me, I have a link in the description for an offer that I have going on for 10 free beats. So if you want that offer, just click the link in the description down below. And if you guys want, you can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram for all the latest updates. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.